So, yeah, I'm kind of blitzkrieging the videos here today because I don't know if I'm going to be around for the next couple of days. I don't think I'm going to be around tomorrow morning. But, and I told you I would tell you another story from the road. So first we got to crack, pack, dip, and spit. You know how it is. Try to get the camera angle so you can see a little bit more of my flat here. Sound Kitchen Studios. But yeah, so I wanted to tell you this story. Okay. This might be a two-parter. Kind of long. Okay, so it's about 2006. And I was just, I think I was freshly married. Maybe it was 2005. I can't remember. I was with my ex-wife, Mithra, living on our house, our first house. And we had a computer. She had a computer. And I don't computer much. I use my cell phone, but I don't computer much. But I thought to myself, I'm going to take a half hour, sit down, and try to book a tour for myself. Because why the hell not? And let's try to angle this a little better. I don't know. I want to look at you, you know? Yeah, I figured I'd try to book a tour for myself, right? Take a half hour. I knew some people. The Silver Hearts were doing pretty good at the time, so I was familiar with some booking agents and this, that, and the other thing. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna go. I took the example of the Jackson Sanatorium's old tour route, and I thought I'm gonna try to hit. I'm gonna do a gig in Peterborough. I'm gonna do a gig in Toronto, in Hamilton, and I'm gonna try to go farther if I can. Whatever. My rules were I had to book it all in half an hour. And then the ultimate goals was each gig had to pay for itself to get to the next gig. You know what I mean? So like hopefully I'd make enough money in Peterborough to get a bus to Toronto, and hopefully make enough money to get in a bus to Toronto to go to Hamilton, and so forth. You know. So anyway, in a half hour I managed to book myself a gig at the Spill in Peterborough, a gig at the Free Times Cafe in Toronto, and a gig at the Casbah in Hamilton, which is where the Silver Hearts played quite often. Now, what was going on in Hamilton was there was a bartender we all used to be fond of when we played there a lot. Her name was Sunny, and she was retiring from the business. So they were having like all the local punk bands and stuff. It was like a big 20 punk band festival. I was the only out-of-town act. They hired me onto it because I was a Silver Heart, and we were one of her favorite bands at the time, I guess. And I was also the only solo performing act, right? So whatever, it's all good. I thought that was gonna be a gas. I was gonna be on Canada Day too. I didn't really realize that until the day. So I started out in Peterborough at the Spill. Nobody came to the gig, which is not uncommon. I always say with my solo audiences, I've steadily attracted a crowd of 10 or less for the last 25 years. And this was certainly no exception. I played to the bartender and I think one other patron. So that gig didn't pay for itself, but luckily I had money at the time. So I had a place to stay with my buddy Steve in Toronto. And so I got on a bus the next day, went down to Toronto, the Free Times Cafe. Now, I don't know if you know the Free Times Cafe. It's kind of it's not much to speak of anymore, I don't think, or it wasn't then anyway, but it's like a folky bar. on Bloor Street, I think. I could be wrong. Bloor and College, around that area. And, or Bloor and Spadina, I don't know. Somewhere on there, Bloor Street. And, I thought, the Silverhearts were doing real well in Toronto at the time. And, so I thought, well, fuck, I'll make, like they said, send us a mess of posters and we'll put them up and blah, blah, all this stuff. So I did that. I made like 50, 100 posters, something like that. Really, something I wouldn't normally do, but I really played up the Silverhearts angle on it. I said, Patrick Walsh from the Silverhearts, performing solo, blah, blah, whatever, So, yeah, this all looked very promising, the folk club riding on the coattails of my band and this punk festival, which at least was going to be a good time in Hamilton, because I'm an old punk rocker and Hamilton's one of my old stomping grounds. So I thought it was going to be a gas, So nobody comes to Peterborough. That's okay. I got down to Toronto, hook up with my buddy Steve McNabb, and, set up for this gig. Now, first thing I did was lose my harmonica rack on a subway, so I didn't have a harmonica rack. I think I had to go buy one, which kind of sucked. It's an integral part of my solo performance. That's the rack that you put your harmonica in when you're playing guitar and harmonica. Yeah, that was the first shitty thing. Then I was walking through Kensington Market, and I met an old adversary of mine from Peterborough, this crazy person who doesn't like me very much, and for no real reason, and no reason at all, actually. But I met her in the street, and she just popped off on me on the street. I just kind of had to walk away from that. That was weird. I got to the gig, and I said, hi, I'm Pat Walsh. I'm playing here tonight. And they're like, oh, yeah, okay. Well, all the gear's in the back, everything's in the back room. Go set it up, blah, blah. You would do what you got to do. So I did that. I set up the PA, sound check. I didn't have a sound man or anything. I sound checked myself. And it was all good. So I just sat and waited for showtime. But I had noticed in Toronto, around the area specifically, that all these posters I had sent up, I hadn't seen one of them around, posted anywhere, especially where there were posters. So as I'm setting up the microphones and stuff, I noticed a garbage pail behind the curtain, and all my posters are in the bottom of the garbage pail. So they just took my posters and threw them in the trash. So no, the gig wasn't advertised at all. Not in the paper, not on the poster boards, nothing. So I didn't have high hopes after that. So anyway, I sat and waited until around 9 when you start playing a gig like that. And nobody was coming in. My buddy Steve showed up, and we waited. I held off. I think I held off till almost 10. And I just thought, maybe. And I thought maybe people will start coming in if they hear music. Like this is like I thought it was like a folky club, right? Like I thought it was people came there for that, So I start playing, and all of a sudden, I noticed the bartender in the front room just cranks the music up on the stereo to drown me out. So I knew that wasn't happening. Excuse me. So I played a couple songs for my buddy Steve, and nobody was coming in. So we just packed it up, called it a night. And it was a great night. I had a really nice time with Steve. We went out for ice cream. We walked around downtown Toronto in the middle of the night, had a great time. Went back to his place. He showed me a cool distortion pedal he'd made out of an Altoid mint box. We had some herbal medicine. It was all a very nice time. And regardless, I was very excited about going to Hamilton the next day to play this 20 punk rock band festival where I was the only solo performer from out of town. So that was going to be cool. So I get up early. I didn't make any money on that gig either. So luckily I had money I had brought enough money to get a bus to Hamilton. So I did that. And I got there quite early in the day. I thought, I'd just walk around Hamilton. I love Hamilton, cool stores, cool record stores, go to the library, whatever. It's Canada Day, man. Everything's closed, and it was fucking hot. Now, the guitar I had at the time was a Bell Brass Tricone National steel acoustic guitar. Because I'm a blues musician, And that was the guitar I had at the time. It weighs about 500 pounds. So I would walk around Hamilton all day carrying this beast of a guitar in the fucking blazing heat with nothing open, and so that was kind of a drag. I spent a lot of time sitting in park benches and stuff, just killing time, waiting for the gig to show up. And about 7 o'clock at night, I went down to Casbah, where the gig was. And also, I hadn't seen a single poster for this. And I figured this was going to be an event, right? And 20 band festival. So I'm sitting in the parking lot, and you know what? I'm going to continue this in the next video. So just let me pause. Let me stop this. I'll be right back.